Hello students, looking at current affairs for 14th December. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 16. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, Kamal Nath to take charge in Madhya Pradesh. So Congress has announced 9 times member of parliament, a 9-term member of parliament from Chhindwara, 72-year-old Kamal Nath as the next chief minister of Madhya Pradesh. Then second is dissolution of house by Sri Sena illegal. So this is in Sri Lanka. The Sri Lankan Supreme Court has ruled that the executive action, the action of the President of Sri Lanka, Maithripala Sri Sena, in November 2018 when he dissolved the parliament and called for snap elections, was illegal. So parliament is restored and the action which he had taken was completely unconstitutional. So this has been ruled now. Then next is scientists step in to save Punganur cow. So this is Punganur cow, one of the species of cow. It's called one of the world's smallest breed of cattle. So it is on the verge of extinction due to crossbreeding conducted by farmers. So this is found in Andhra Pradesh. So another breed of Ongole bull is also from Andhra Pradesh. But if you look at these two bulls, Punganur cow, which is very small, it has a height of about 70 to 90 centimeter only and weighs around 115 to 200 kg, while the Ongole bull stands tall at 1.7 meters and weighs around 500 kg. So this is the stark contrast between Punganur cow and Ongole bull of Andhra Pradesh. So now, since Punganur cow is on the verge of extinction, scientists are taking initiative to preserve the breed. Then next is, come June, groundwater extraction will invite a fee. So Central Groundwater Authority has now notified that a water conservation fee will be made liable on industries when they use groundwater. So groundwater extraction from June 2019 will result in water conservation fee to be paid, which will vary depending on which location water is being extracted from and for what purpose. So industries extract water, even mine dewatering units, they extract water, and also use of groundwater for packaged drinking water, all will have to pay this water conservation fee and will also have to apply for a no objection certificate NOC from the government. So for individual households using groundwater, there is a limit that if the delivery pipe is of greater than 1 inch diameter, only then they will have to pay water conservation fee, otherwise no. Agriculture sector, which is the largest consumer of groundwater in the country, this will be completely exempt from water conservation fee. Also, defense establishments, units and users who don't use electricity to extract water are also exempted from obtaining NOCs or having to pay water conservation fee. So this is there. So in which region what water conservation fee would be charged, this will be depending on the block in which the groundwater is located. So there are groundwater blocks called assessment blocks, which have been listed by the government and they have been classified as safe, semi-critical, critical and overexploited depending on the groundwater draft. So this is there. And you should know that 90% of the annual groundwater extraction is mainly used for irrigation, for agriculture. So India is also the largest user of groundwater in the world. It accounts for about 25% of groundwater extraction across the world. So that's a huge figure. Then next, this is the gist of the entire article as such. You can see water use table. 90% is used for farm related activities, 10% for domestic and industrial users. So agriculture is exempted from water conservation fee. This is there. This is the largest consumer of groundwater. And also in domestic, you can see the limit has been given, the delivery pipeline diameter, on the basis of which it would be decided whether water conservation fee is liable or not. So there are huge exemptions also in this. Then next is lack of basic rights for the aged a concern. So the Supreme Court has ruled that the rights of rising elderly population of the country is an emerging situation and it is requiring action. The central government has to initiate action. It has to direct the state governments to take action as such too, because the government cannot give this reason that it does not have enough funding, that it is doing economic budgeting, that there is not possibility to have welfare of senior citizens and the aged taken into consideration. So you cannot explain this inadequate welfare that this is, because of tightened purse strings. So the government cannot do that. Government has to spend on the elderly. Also, there's already a law in place, the law of 2007, Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act of 2007. So it is a statutory, a legal right for every aged person to live with a life with dignity, have a shelter, and have a healthy life. So, it becomes part of the fundamental right to life under Article 21 of the Constitution too. So that is why the Supreme Court has now ordered the central government to obtain the necessary information from all state governments and union territories about the number of old age homes in each district and file a status report with it. So now Supreme Court is looking into this matter, care for the elderly. So the Supreme Court has also stated that this Act of 2007 has to be given wide publicity, and also state governments have to carry out and execute the provisions of this law. So what is this law all about? You should know. Maintenance and Welfare of Parents Senior Citizens Act. So this act came into effect in 2007. There are 9 tribunals across 9 districts to be headed by additional district magistrate as such. So these 9 tribunals are in a particular state, but there will be tribunals in each district which have to be established. Also, senior citizens can advocate their cases or authorize a relative or a friend to put forth his case before the tribunal. And tribunal's prime approach should be reconciliatory. So this is there. Then cases have to be settled within 3 months, and the tribunal can issue notice to children and relatives and direction to police also to take action. And there was a maintenance which has been proposed in the act. The maintenance had a limit of 10,000 as such, which can be imposed on children, but the amendment has actually removed this limit on maintenance as such too. So if the person who is responsible for taking care of senior citizens abandons them, then the act also provides for a jail term of 3 months or a fine of up to rupees 5,000 or both. So the amendment which has taken place in 2018, it has extended the definition of child, the definition child responsible to care for an old person. So this child definition has been expanded. 2007 Act included only son, daughter and grandchildren. So now this has been extended to include even daughter-in-law, son-in-law, minor through a guardian, a relative of childless senior citizen. And cap on maintenance has been removed. The earlier cap of 10,000, there is no financial cap on maintenance which can be ordered from the child as such. And punishment for abandonment has also been expanded. Earlier it was up to 3 months. Now it is from 3 to 6 months, and fine has been increased to up to 10,000. Then next is Supreme Court bats for rights of death row convicts. So the Supreme Court has now taken suo motu cognizance of the rights of incarcerated and conditions of prisons across the country. So people who have been sentenced to death, they also have a right to dignity and equality. This is a fundamental right for every citizen. So here these death row convicts also should be allowed to meet with family, friends, lawyers and mental health professionals for a reasonable period of time with reasonable frequency, like any other prisoner. So this is what the Supreme Court has called for now. Then next is both houses adjourned after repeated protests. So the winter session of Parliament is going on, and both houses of Parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, had to be adjourned. It was the second day, and in the first half of the proceedings of the second day too, in Rajya Sabha, there were protests by various parties. The Rajya Sabha was seeing political parties from Tamil Nadu demanding justice for Kaveri Delta farmers. Then some members of Andhra Pradesh were demanding special status for the state. Then also there were protests in Lok Sabha too. Apart from Kaveri and Andhra Pradesh disputes, also in Lok Sabha, NDA's ally Shiv Sena was demanding ordinance on the construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya, and it stalled the proceedings in the Lok Sabha. So Rajya Sabha chairman, that is the Vice President of India too, M. Venkaiah Naidu, and even Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan, they adjourned the House because it could not function with so much furor. Then next is India-Russia to boost joint production in defense. So India and Russia have agreed to simplify export clearances to take forward joint manufacturing in defense. So there was this 18th meeting of India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Military Technical Cooperation. So here it has been decided that both countries would cooperate. India is keen on having licensed manufacturing of defense equipments, as such in the country. So India already has the Make in India in Defense project, and it wants joint production. So licensed manufacturing and joint production, so that even spares for Russian systems which India uses can be manufactured in the country, both by public sector undertakings, defense PSUs, and even private sector undertakings. So it is also keen that what is manufactured by Indian companies, they can be supplied to third countries also, exported to third countries. So that's what is being looked forward to in India-Russia Defense Cooperation. Then next is India ups ante over SAARC meet spat. So this is regarding SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. So SAARC is a regional grouping in which India, Pakistan both are members, and at one of the committee meetings, this is SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So at this meeting, which took place, POK minister was also present. So this was not taken, accepted by Indian delegation, and they demanded that this meet should be cancelled, to the extent that now they have stated that the SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry should be de-recognized by the SAARC. So this is the demand of India now. So this SAARC Chamber of Commerce and Industry comprises of all the local chambers of commerce and industry from various countries, like India's Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry is a member of SAARC grouping of SCCI. So this is there. Then next is Japan's cold chain for Singur. So Japan has 3 years back finalized a project, and this is an investment in West Bengal where Japanese company, that is Kawasaki Rikuso Transportation. So this is a logistics transportation warehouse transportation logistics company of Japan, which is setting up cold chain network. So cold chain facility has been established at Singur in West Bengal. This is a project funded by JICA, that is Japan International Cooperation Agency, and in 3 years it has become operational too. It will be inaugurated in Jan 2019 by West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. So this cold chain network has been provided to ensure that farmers can store the unsold vegetables for up to 4 days in the warehouse. So the remains can remain reasonably fresh and can get better prices. So that's the purpose. It will reduce the post-harvest loss. So that is the objective. Of course, one important problem or important concern for cold chain network is electricity consumption. There will be massive electricity which will be required. For that, the KRT has made access to solar power possible. So there are giant solar panels which are fitted to the warehouse. So this will ensure that electricity consumption is also minimal. Then next is May survives leadership challenge. So this is British Prime Minister Theresa May. She has been voted as the leader of the party as such. So Conservative MPs have backed her with a majority in a secret ballot, and she continues to be the Prime Minister of Britain, and she will continue to sell her deal, the Brexit deal, which she has finalized with European Union as such, and she has headed to Brussels, the capital of European Union, so that they can, there can be further clarification which can be taken from European politicians. So, but then it has been made clear that the legal text will not be changed anymore. So that is what EU politicians have made it clear. There can be statements and clarifications given by them. So the Brexit deal has to be sold off to the British population too. Now, the various political parties in Britain have opposed the deal for various reasons. Hard Brexiteer supporters say that this is not a hard Brexit, hard enough Brexit. Soft Brexiteers want further, soft stance taken by the government in the Brexit deal. And also there are demands being made for a second referendum to be held, whether there should be a Brexit or not. So that is all the furor and commotion going on presently in UK, and the hard Brexiteers basically want a renegotiation of the backstop policy or insurance policy which is there in the Brexit deal, which has been finalized, the current deal finalized. So this backstop policy is there to prevent a hard border on the island of Ireland. So as we have already discussed quite often, Northern Ireland is part of UK and Ireland is a separate nation, the remaining part of the island. So to ensure that there is no hard border here, that is why this backstop policy has been included. So Northern Ireland would be part of the EU Customs Union, and for remaining of UK will not be. So that is what has been assured or what has become part of the Brexit deal. But then hard Brexiteers do not accept this. They say this is an indirect route for UK remaining a part of the EU customs union. So here you can see the details given. So here you can see the current system is shown. Entire UK is part of the EU customs union. So there is open border. Here you can see this is Northern Ireland. So now open border between Ireland and Northern Ireland is also there. You can see. And then this is EU backstop for Northern Ireland. So when EU backstop for Northern Ireland will be there, then Northern Ireland will remain in customs union. Rest of UK will not be. So there will be open border again between Ireland and Northern Ireland. So this is there. So here you can see checks on all agri-food imports, but not on other goods from UK mainland. So that is what is there presently too. So these are standards and custom checks on agri-food imports and goods from UK mainland. So other goods also will have these custom checks when UK exits from European Union. And then you can see this is EU-UK customs union only. So this will be entire UK will remain in EU customs union, but not in the single market. So there will be checks, but then in customs union it will stay, but there will be standard checks at all borders as such. So this is there. And the fourth option is hybrid UK plan. So entire UK will remain in EU customs union, but only Northern Ireland stays in single market for goods also. So this will be open border between Northern Ireland and Ireland. So these are different ways in which EU exit can be made possible for Britain. So this is how Brexit can take place. Then next is Palestinian gunman kills 2 Israelis in West Bank. And also you should understand that the one which has been selected is this EU backstop for Northern Ireland. So this is the one option which has been put into the Brexit deal presently. Then next is Palestinian gunman kills 2 Israelis in West Bank. So a Palestinian gunman killed 2 Israelis at a bus station in occupied West Bank. So this has resulted in Israeli forces killing 2 Hamas fugitives also who have carried out the attack. And also we have seen that attacks have taken place near the site in West Bank. Drive-by shooting took place few days back that wounded 7 Israelis, including a pregnant woman. A man was stabbed and had stabbed and wounded 2 Israeli police troopers also in East Jerusalem. So here the increasing violence which has been seen has resulted in Israel again, putting constraints on West Bank too. So the Israel-Palestinian conflict and in the West Bank area is now increasing. So West Bank is actually under Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. So it is called Palestinian Authority. So you should know the other part which Palestine will be formed of is Gaza Strip. So in Gaza Strip, the Hamas terrorist groups are powerful and they have been openly fighting against Israel and they do not want to accept Israel as a nation. So they claim entire Israel as Palestine. But then the West Bank region, which is under Mahmoud Abbas, Palestinian president, so here they have been moderate, they have been ready for in existence, coexistence as such with Israel. So that has been the approach. But even in West Bank we are seeing now the conflict between Israel and Palestine increasing. So this is of course a cause of concern. The negotiations which were going on between Israel and West Bank broke in 2014 and now we are seeing violence escalating in this region too. So here you can see this is Israel and here you can see this is the Gaza Strip and West Bank. So these two are the parts which will form Palestine if it's recognized as an independent nation. Then here you can see the neighbors of Israel are also Lebanon, Syria, Jordan and Egypt. And you have the Mediterranean Sea here. Then next is Gandhi statue removed in Ghana. So in Ghana, in Africa, a statue of Mahatma Gandhi was placed by former President Pranab Mukherjee 2 years back in 2016 in the University of Ghana in Accra, its capital. So this was placed as a symbol of close ties between the 2 nations, India and Ghana. But then now it has been removed after 2 years because of complaints that Mahatma Gandhi was racist against black Africans. So passages written by Mahatma Gandhi claiming that Indians were infinitely superior to black Africans have surfaced, and petitioners and lecturers in the university have also demanded that as a question of self-respect, the Gandhi statue has to be moved out and it has been burnt down. So there are some statements given, like Mahatma Gandhi in his initial years, he was in South Africa, and he evolved his concept of satyagraha in South Africa, and at that time he worked with the Britishers. So in wars with Britishers fought, the white Britishers fought with the native Africans there. So these wars which were fought, Mahatma Gandhi believed in supporting Britain. So the Britishers were supported by Mahatma Gandhi and his followers to show that Indians are loyal to Britishers. So that's how he worked. So that, so that was the way he evolved his entire concept of satyagraha too. So at that time he had his viewpoints. He called Africans as kafirs. So this is a derogatory term which has been used as such too. So such statements are being brought out now to call Mahatma Gandhi a racist. So Mahatma Gandhi is known for speaking the truth, and he is also a human being. He also evolved and understood what is right and wrong. So this is of the time when he was in Africa that he gave such statements that Kafirs are as a rule uncivilized, the convicts even more so. They are troublesome, very dirty, and live almost like animals. So this is a statement attributed to Mahatma Gandhi, where Kafirs is a derogatory term which he uses for native people in South Africa. Then next is, bankers ask Das to ease PCA norms. So the chief executives of public sector banks met with the new RBI governor Shashikant Das and requested him to relax the PCA, Prompt Corrective Action norms as such, because it is affecting the credit takeoff of the banks. So 11 out of 21 public sector banks are under Prompt Corrective Action, and this has been imposed on them because they have breached the risk thresholds. So this is the threshold which has been placed on the net non-performing assets which they hold, and the capital adequacy which they have, returns on assets which they get. So based on that, when risk thresholds are breached, there are restrictions put on them. So this is of course affecting their functioning, and this is essential because non-performing assets issue has been rising. The gross non-performing assets have now crossed 10 lakh crore mark. So there is a need to take action on this. So, of course, rising NPAs is affecting the bank's profitability and eroding their capital as such too, because then they have to make provisioning, capital provisioning as such for that too. So, RBI continuously keeps evaluating the banks. So, there's this Board of Financial Supervision of RBI. So, recently too, it deliberated on the Prompt Corrective Action issue and reviewed the performance of banks till the half year. So, this has been done to decide whether any bank can be brought out of the PCA framework. Then another issue on which relaxation is demanded is that of February 12 circular of the RBI. So on 12 February 2018, RBI came out with a circular in which it stated that even if there is 1 day default in in a loan, then that loan has to be declared as a non-performing asset, and banks have to restructure those loans and make higher provision for them. So of course, this is also going to affect the bank's profitability. Also, in the same circular, it withdrew all other restructuring schemes which were in place. So those cannot be used because these restructuring schemes made sure that this loan does not become an NPA immediately. But what RBI mandated now was that even a day's default means the loan is an NPA. Default in even paying the interest. So that is there. So banks and government have both been lobbying hard for relaxation of this 1 day stress asset norm of RBI, but it had not obliged so far. Now, under the new government, what would be the steps taken? We'll have to see. So this is the Prompt Corrective Action Framework matrix. You can see risk thresholds. There are 3 risk thresholds on various aspects. You can see like on capital. So breach of either capital risk weighted assets ratio, capital to risk weighted assets ratio. Here the threshold is of up to 250 bps. So if it goes up to this, then risk threshold 1 is breached, and then more than 250 but not exceeding 400 bps. So that would mean risk threshold 2 breached, or risk threshold 3 is when it goes excess of 312.5 bps. So then asset quality. So net performing assets advances ratio. So how much is the net non-performing assets? If it is less than equal to 6%, more than equal to 6%, but less than 9%, then it is risk threshold 1 breached. If it goes beyond 9%, but up to less than 12%, then it is risk threshold 2 breached. But if it goes beyond 12%, then it is risk threshold 3 breached. Then profitability, return on assets. So that also, how much is the negative ROA for 2 consecutive years, 3 or 4. So depending on this, all aspects, which risk threshold is breached, depending on that, there will be a condition imposed, corrective actions. So these are corrective actions which are imposed. So there are restrictions imposed. So if risk threshold 1 is breached, then there are restrictions on dividends. There is more capital for foreign banks required, and also discretionary action can be taken by the regulator, that is RBI. In risk threshold 2, again there will be restriction on dividends, there will be restriction on branch expansions also, and there will be higher provisioning required. The banks will have to make higher provisions, higher amount of money to be kept aside for its assets, so non-performing assets, or for the loans which it has given. So higher provisioning is required, and of course discretionary action by regulator. If risk threshold 3 is breached, so that is an extreme case, then there will be restriction on dividends, on branch expansion, on management compensation, the salary which can be paid to the management, the bank management, restriction on director fee, and of course discretionary action by regulator. And this is the February 12 circular, what were the provisions in this circular of RBI, that all other frameworks which were there for non-performing assets, so that would be scrapped. So, on NPA resolution, so that was this S4A, SDR, CDR, joint lenders forum framework. So all these which were there, so these would be scrapped now. Then RBI also said that if resolution plan is not has to be brought out. So this resolution plan must be completed within 180 days for all stressed assets of cases over 1000 crore. And if it is not implemented, then account should be referred to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code in 15 days. So that was the stressed assets resolution plan which RBI brought forth. And for restructuring outside Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, account should not be in default. If it is in default, then it goes to IBC only. So that is there. The next is TDSAT set aside some predatory pricing clauses. So this is Telecom Dispute Settlement in Appellate Tribunal. So TDSAT has dismissed some clauses related to predatory pricing that are part of TRI's tariff regulation. So tariff regulations provided by TRI had some provisions for predatory pricing which have been dismissed, set aside by TDSAT, the Appellate Tribunal for Telecom sector. So there is this concept of significant market player. So significant market player concept, how TRI defined it. Some of the provisions for it have been set aside. So the TRI has been asked by TDSAT to reconsider the provisions within 6 months. So it said that there was lack of transparency in arriving at the concept of significant market player, non-predation, and average variable cost. So we'll see what all this is actually all about. So this has come as a relief to the Bharti Airtel and Vodafone telecom companies. So this was TRI regulation which was favoring Reliance Jio, which was a new player in the market. So significant market player definition was changed in such a way that it benefited Jio and was not beneficial to Bharti Airtel and Vodafone. So here you can see what is predatory pricing, how it was defined by TRI. So if tariffs are less than the average variable cost, so that is called predatory pricing. So basically predatory pricing, predator means you are eating up. So eating up the customers of other telecom companies. So when Reliance Jio came as a new player in the market, it was accused of predatory pricing. So its tariffs, its charges which it was imposing, they were less than the average variable cost was what was claimed by other telecom sectors, telecom companies. But then TRI definition of predatory pricing included other conditions too, like that operator must have 30% market share. So when it is a new player, it may not have 30% market share. So then it is not predatory pricing according to TRI regulation. Also operators to be fined 50 lakh per circle was imposed. So now what changes have been made, you can see. So what changes TRI made first of all in Feb 2018 is given here, and what TDSAT ruled. So definition of predatory pricing, earlier significant market player definition, you can see it was if a company crossed 30% threshold by number of subscribers, revenue, market share, or volume of traffic and network capacity in any circle. But then now the changes which were made by TRI were that significant market player means only if it crosses 30% threshold by subscriber or revenue market share. So other conditions were removed. So that such how did this definition of significant market player was arrived at by TRI. What TDSAT says was that there was lack of required transparency. So that is there. So here that is there. Then what is the definition of predatory pricing also you can see. On that also it said that it is predatory if tariff by significant market player is below the average variable cost. So here, and it said that onus is on telecom companies to show that tariff is not predatory. So that was there. Then this is the present ruling by the tribunal, TDSAT. So it said fixing 30% of total activity for SMP not backed by strong reason. TRAI must reconsider provisions within 6 months. And it said regulator cannot impose penalties. So Airtel and Vodafone, what idea? They can continue with segmented offers to retain subscribers too, which was earlier not allowed by TRAI, you can see. So this was regarding segmented offers or discriminatory tariff. This was allowed before May 2017, but then TRAI ruled that it is not allowed. All tariffs need to be made public. But now TDSAT has ruled that they won't have to report all tariffs, discounts and waivers to TRAI or make them public. Then the last news is India-China join hands to promote tea globally. So two apex industry organizations, Indian Tea Association and China Tea Marketing Association, have signed an MOU to promote green and black tea consumption in their respective markets too, and also in major tea markets like Europe, US, Russia and West Asia. So this is of significance because China is also an importer of black tea, and this gives opportunity for Indian tea sector too. So black tea is rising in popularity in China, which traditionally has been favoring green tea. So China is also the world's third largest exporter of tea, but that is mainly green tea. The market in tea sector is dominated by Sri Lanka and Kenya. So if India and China join hands, they can give good competition here. So that is there. So markets for tea are also mentioned here. So that is there. So these are the news items. Thank you.